Hello and welcome all to our The Terminator fan commentary. I'm Andy and I'm joined with my good mate Alan. We are Andy and Alan, and I make silly YouTube videos, talk about 4K reviews and whatnot, unboxings and stuff, physical media. And Alan actually makes films for real, but is also a dedicated movie fan, and we've known each other for over 20 years. This is a kind of new venture for us. We've been talking about it for a while, so we're excited to start this kind of series. It'll be a kind of pretty casual, occasionally sweary, and hopefully funny and informative commentary track on the Terminator. To my knowledge, there isn't actually a commentary track for the Terminator, an official one that's been on the DVD or the existing Blu-ray release. So if you're into commentaries, hopefully this gives you something to listen to along with the Terminator if you've watched it a million times. If you're just listening along, as I say, we appreciate you joining us either way, but you can get us on YouTube Music if you just want to listen to it through a kind of music streaming app. Or, of course, you can sync the YouTube video in time with your own copy, be it on Amazon Prime. I believe it's on just now if you're subscribed to that, but it does leave in 8 days looking at it on my screen here. Or, of course, you can use your Blu-ray or whatever. Just remember, if you're using a Blu-ray, it'll be 24 frames per second, so it might start to get out of sync with ours. I think we'll be running it probably 50 or 60 frames here. But that's all the techno kind of jargon bullshit out of the way. We're just going to get straight into it here. And I'll give you a countdown. So if you're kind of ready to go, you ready to go, Alan?
Ready.
Cool. So we'll go for 3, 2, 1, and we are off.
Well, yeah. So, how did we end up talking about Terminator as our first movie?
How did we end up talking about doing the first movie? Well, I think we had a poll online, so it took Alan and I a while to settle on what we wanted to do a commentary track on, because there's loads of films out there we'd like to talk about. But we settled for 4 kind of 80s favourites, didn't we? And
Yeah.
let's just be upfront and honest.
There was one that
We
we
wanted to talk
particularly
about the
wanted,
11
and by sending the link around to quite a few people, I managed to get it up there. Because why the hell not? But yeah, it still got kind of roundly trounced by Terminator. So yeah, we're here. We're talking about Terminator, and it's the future. It's 2029, I think, isn't it? Where this is set. So what? 4 years from now. I love this stuff, all the future stuff. Considering how small the budget is in this film, although that ship does look a bit dodgy these days, but the big kind of tank things are great. Great miniatures. All this stuff, I think, still holds up in that way that great, physical miniature special effects hold up. The way that old CGI from like the 90s or early 2000s still looks crap these days. I'd forgotten about this opening text. It's kind of ominous, with the tonight ... You forget how cheap this film was to make and how like rough and ready they were when they were shooting it. Filming scenes without licenses and just kind of running about back alleys and things. I love these. I love the opening credits here. Although, there's the debate which is better, Terminator 1 or Terminator 2. Some people are first one, some people are second one. I love them both. Like, I'd be hard pressed to pick a favorite. But as much as I like the score here, I really like the orchestral one with in the opening titles, and the second one with the flaming, children's playground over the kind of synth. I know that's maybe you shouldn't admit to that. It's
Brad Fiedel, though, isn't it?
It's same composer, but this is him in a room, with keyboards, and but the second one there was a bit more money behind him.
Do you get nostalgic when movies start? I know this doesn't quite start straight into an opening graphic and opening titles, but this is something you don't really see anymore, don't you think?
Opening credits.
Yeah, that just doesn't happen anymore.
Because young people get bored if the film doesn't start immediately. They're like, I'm not watching 3 minutes of words, people's names. No, I'm not interested. I do get nostalgic for it. I was watching a Woody Allen film the other night, and all his films start with the same opening credits with the same font, no matter what film it is. So you always kind of you're watching a Woody Allen film, and some music plays that's relevant to whatever the film is, but it's just white titles on black screen, same font, every film, done, boom, film can start. But that's enough talk about Woody Allen on our Terminator commentary.
I didn't expect. I knew we'd end up drifting away, but I really didn't expect us to hit Woody Allen before
Now,
we've even seen the Terminator. But yeah,
Schwarzenegger would be good in a Woody Allen film. Stallone's been in a Woody Allen film. One of Stallone's first films was a Woody Allen film. He had a bit
would it
part in it.
just to get a film made these days? He'd take Arnold Schwarzenegger to do it.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that. But speaking of people who've been accused of things, we'll probably end up talking about O.J. Simpson at some point in this commentary. O.J. Simpson being the guy they wanted for Arnie's role in this. I'm sure you knew that.
Yeah, like you said just before we got started there, Alan.
So
You've
really
obviously
quickly,
been.
why do 80s sci-fi films all have that blue lightning?
Is it because of Terminator?
I don't know. I'm asking.
You're right though. It is always that kind of blue electricity, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say like, about the OJ Simpson thing. You were talking off stream about how ironically AI now, like algorithms, social media and stuff, because you and I have been talking back and forward on our devices about what films we were going to cover. We've been talking about Terminator. We started to get stuff thrown up onto our feeds
Mhm,
about the Terminator. Skynet's listing, obviously.
mhm.
But I got thrown up a reel, and it was Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about that. It was maybe like 10 years ago or something, in an interview where he's been talking about the fact that O.J. Simpson was originally the name Circling playing the Terminator, and then he kind of ironically says, "But I mean, O.J. Simpson, like they ultimately they didn't go with him because they thought there's no way he could play a
Yeah.
convincing killer."
Well, he was an
and then
American.
there's a
He
and then
was an
there's a
American
pause
a year
from
ago. Yeah,
then there's a pause, and then Arnie laughs, and then the whole like audience start laughing at the idea that
yeah, yeah.
nobody believed he could be a
Alleged,
convincing killer.
alleged. You don't want to get demonetized before you even start. Um,
True, true.
Here we got blue hair Bill Paxton. I love Bill Paxton. You sometimes forget he's in this, and also that's Brian Thompson, the guy on the right. He crops up and stuff. He was a baddie in the X Files for a while.
I knew you were going to go there because I know you're a big X Files
I
fan.
was in my youth. Um, and yeah, I love Bill Paxton. I wish he was still alive.
Bit of a
He's
stalwart for Cameron going forward. Was,
Yeah,
was
and
this?
he's one of those actors that like never was nominated for an Oscar. It was never that showy, but like you could always rely on him for a good performance. Like
Yeah.
people like him, Kurt Russell, Dennis Quaid are like they're never talked about being like the best actors ever, but you're never going to go wrong with these guys. They're always going to put in the hours and
Kind
you
of like
know
high profile journeyman.
a
Kind of.
journeyman actor. There you go.
It would be unfair to call them journeyman because obviously they have had some high profile roles and they're really famous. But yeah, they never quite made it to that kind of like proper A list
No,
leading man status. Although Bill Paxton, other than Twister, trying to think what
well, that's a
else
big
he
but
was like leading man in. Kind of big movies like that.
he was leading man in smaller films, but I can't think of anything else that he was like the main actor in like a big budget thing. Twister's probably the only
Yeah.
example. Yeah, here's another. Well, let's not call them journeyman actors, but Michael Biehn. He's
He's a
always
proper
great.
journeyman. Yeah, he's like a proper journeyman actor.
He's great.
Also, then like,
He's great in The Abyss. He's great in Tombstone, and then he just kind of fell off the radar.
but I
And
think he had problems with drink, didn't he?
well, let's not start accusing people of things.
Well, I think
Uh, I don't know. He was, yeah.
I listened to
The
a really
Rock
good
was probably
podcast.
his last big film, was it?
He was in his last big film, perhaps, yeah. But he
He
was
was in
in. He cropped
The
up in.
Tarantino Rodriguez Grindhouse thing. Let's not forget
Speaking
as
of,
well that he's wearing a homeless man's trousers for the rest of the film.
which is
Uh,
also easy to
even
forget.
even though he's about to stop and steal clothes from a like department store.
Yeah, you'd think maybe at that point he would think, Maybe
I
treat
know,
myself to
yeah,
a nice pair of slacks while
I
I'm
know
here,
right I know
because these
right
are stinking
now
a piss.
yeah, I know right now those trousers seem like the best idea, and possibly they were, but 2 or 3 minutes later, he's in a Debenhams or whatever, and, or maybe not Debenhams, Walmart, and, we got clothes all of a sudden.
I suppose
And
it was kind of plot.
he gets his hole later as well, which is even more shocking considering those, trousers.
Yeah, no. I suppose it was plot convenient.
Imagine if that whole thing didn't happen. You know, the whole circle of life, the fate, the destiny thing, sending him back to impregnate his mother, and she went, "Nah, Eureka Pish." Imagine if he'd fallen on that first hurdle.
It's, I suppose it's kind of plot convenient though as well, because otherwise, if he doesn't take the homeless man's trousers, he's running about Billy Bollocks for quite a substantial part of the film at the beginning, which would be a light nightmare to try and stop.
Yeah. Can we talk about the rules of time travel and why they don't really work in these films?
Already. But I think people would be disappointed if we didn't in a Terminator
Because
film start talking about the loopholes. But you'll have to lead on that, because I'll
well,
start to get
they
easily
talk
confused.
about it comes up later. He's like, why didn't you bring back like a futuristic gun with you? And he says, nothing dead will go with it. Your
Organic
clothes don't go, guns
organic
don't
matter,
go. That's why
don't they?
you come into closer. And but and then there's like a line. He's like, well, what about this Terminator? He goes, yeah, but he's covered in skin. All right, okay. What about the T-1000 from Terminator 2? He doesn't
Yeah.
have any.
You're not complete. He's completely made of metal, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, it kind
Liquid
of falls
metal.
apart there. Yeah. Um,
But maybe have they.
could he have sewn a gun into his leg
But then again,
or his ass cheek and smuggled that back with him like a futuristic laser?
I suppose it involves a bit of heavy lifting on the viewer, but you could maybe say that ever since the first failed attempt or whatever, they've they're on the Mark II time
Maybe.
machine that can now send non-organic matter.
Or do you assume that all the Terminators that are all ever sent because is it not that they found Skynet's time machine and he looks
They
so
can,
cool here by the way.
yeah,
Um they
can't go
found
wrong with a Mac.
Skynet's
You cannot
you
go
re-
wrong with a Mac.
no apart from in real life.
Apart from
uh,
in the David Bowie and Mick Jagger video,
yeah,
Dancing in the Street, but I don't
that's
know.
true. Yeah, had they not found Skynet's time machine and so that they'd already sent the Terminator back, so they like they stormed the building that it was in and they
Storm the
killed all the.
building and
So do we assume that all the Terminators that are sent back throughout the whole franchise were already all sent back by that point? So they were like, right, we'll send
getting too
Arnie
heavy,
to
heavy for me already.
1984, we'll send Robert Patrick to 1990, whenever it's set. We'll send that lassie from Terminator 3 to thingy. This
What,
dates the
what, what
film a
else?
little
What
bit.
else have we got in the back, lads? What have we got?
Yeah,
What kind of stock have we got?
yeah. The whole phone book thing kind of dates this film, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Searching
and
for
we've
people
got the
through a public
introduction
phone
of
book.
our heroine, Linda
Yeah,
Hamilton. Must have been, what had Linda Hamilton been in up until this point?
I don't think
No
much.
TV shows, maybe.
She
The
was
odd
in
movie appearance.
no, yeah, she because after this she got the Beauty and the Beast TV show that she was in with Ron Perlman.
Beauty and the Beast
Um,
TV show scarred me for life.
aye,
I found Ron Perlman pretty scary in it. It
but
wasn't called Beauty and the Beast though, was it? Was it not some? Was it not a play on Manhattan, Beast in Manhattan or something like that? Or
no,
was it
I'm
called
sure
Beauty
it
and
was
the
just
Beast?
called, but I can't remember.
But it
I
was
can't
in
remember.
Manhattan. That was the twist, that
No,
he lived in the underground, wasn't it?
yeah.
Lived in the sewer system.
Um, I like
Yeah,
Linda
funny.
Hamilton in this. Some people are like,
Funnily enough,
not mad on her, but I think she's great.
so I think, again, we talked about this off camera, but I think this is a scene that was done clandestine without any shooting permits. I think this was a turn
Is
up.
this when he smashes through the? Yeah,
Yeah, because in the special features on the Blu-ray, it's a sit down with Arnie and Jim Cameron, and they talk about this, that they basically turned up in a neighbourhood, pulled the wardrobe out the boot of the car, and was like, right, quick, go before the cops come, go over there and
yeah.
punch that window. And he
I'm
Arnie
all
then
for that.
Arnie then says that, like, because it was so kind of like hurry, 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 this is a rush against time. so many
Yeah.
other factors. He didn't question the fact that Jim Cameron was asking him to punch out a window. He was just like, wasn't until after they punched out the window that he realised that's madness.
Yeah, I'm all for doing that. Like, it's much better to beg forgiveness than ask permission when filming. Seriously, because the amount of times you get knocked back for filming in places, just do it. No one will see you, and if they do, go, "Oh, sorry," and just move on. It's fine.
Yeah.
I would say that to all emerging young filmmakers. Just do it. Do it. You might get in
It's not the end
trouble,
of the
but you
world,
won't
is
get
it?
in that much trouble.
Aye, exactly.
Yeah. Um, this is where we get Dick Miller. Love Dick Miller. He's if you love Joe Dante, he's in all his films mostly. Came up through Roger Corman films as well. He's just great.
I
But he
remember
does
him from Gremlins 2, the new
Gremlins
batch.
too. Yeah,
Is he in the first one as well?
he's in the first one. Yeah,
He's a
he's the
returning
whole the first
character.
one. Yeah, he's in the Burbs. Him and Robert Picardo were always together in Joe Dante films. Robert Picardo appears in most of Joe Dante's films as well. Um, Star Trek fans will know Robert Picardo from playing the holographic Doctor in Star Trek Voyager and a cameo in Star Trek 8 First Contact. Just mention that.
Not to get.
This is a weird joke where he asks for the futuristic gun here. Like,
Yeah, and it's hey pals.
Terminator's not an idiot. He knows that gun doesn't exist, right?
I suppose it's a kind of logical mistake, kind of like glitch that a robot would maybe make,
Maybe.
kind of thing.
Still wearing those hobo pants.
There's not
He's
much of
really
this filmed
sweaty as well.
during the day at all, is there? Just the kind of opening 10, 15 minutes has some daytime
Yeah.
scenes, and then after that, it's pretty much entirely in the dark. This film, isn't it?
Well, I think it's because it sets the Terminator up as like he's pretty efficient. He gets the clothes, he gets the car, he gets the gun, and now he's looking for
Yeah,
Sarah Connor, and he finds however many there are in the phone book and just systematically goes through them. So it's the fact that he's only got here last night, and it takes him a day to get
yeah,
to
through the
through the phone book into the real one.
yeah,
You need enough time to pass as well, so that the police start reporting on it, so she sees it on the telly.
true,
And
yeah.
LA's massive. It takes you like a day to drive one side to the other. Anyway, um,
So this is the controversial audio change I was telling you about, Alan.
mm,
So I'm pretty sure this will be the latest transfer. So this will be the one with the updated sound effects. But this is a massive bone of contention for OG fans.
can I just say as well? Doesn't he know that Sarah Connor's like 25 years old? Like, no offense to that lady, but
Does
that's
he
not the
have
right.
like?
But that's not the right one.
So the gun makes this kind of whistling, almost
Yeah.
silenced futuristic sound, which in the original 2-track stereo audio mastering of it back in the day, it was a much more kind of familiar
Mm.
of the time 45 sound, which people seem to like better. I don't really care, to be honest.
I care when they start messing with things that are fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Leave it. It's fine.
I sympathise with fans that remember it. You know, I wasn't even born when this was the cinema, but so by the time I've started watching it regularly, they've probably already updated the audio, therefore I've
Yeah.
not even really
I don't.
realised. But
I
I
don't know
get it
what.
if you've been around.
I don't know what time how old I was when I saw this. I remember watching it at my grand's house, and she died when I was 12. So I must have been pretty young. I remember having a friend round. It wasn't you, and we were watching Terminator 2, and then my dad came to the room and he went, "Can I see you for a minute?" And see what I said. He goes, "What are you doing watching that with one of your friends?" And I was like, "What? He might not be allowed to watch that. What? How far has it gotten?" And I went, "Oh, it's the scene where the nuclear bomb destroys the city." He goes, "Oh, great." He sent me back upstairs.
You might as well continue watching.
Yeah. So we were pretty young then, maybe 8, 7, 8.
I definitely seen the second one before the first one.
Yeah, I think so as well.
And I remember vividly, it was like it was a Hogmanay, and I was round at my grand's, and a lot of the family were there. So it must have been like 90 Hogmanay 92 to 93 or something, because it was back in the day when Hogmanay might be where they would do a big broadcast premiere, because
Mm,
it's Hogmanay, New Year's Eve, and I think it might have been the first broadcast of Terminator 2 on TV.
right.
But it was that way. We're all talking. Someone's flicked through the channel, and it was at the kind of canal scene, the build up to the canal scene,
Mhm.
and the room just went silent. It was like, oh, Terminator 2 is on. Terminator 2 is on TV. And as a young kid, you're like, why has this got the ability to just like stop a room dead?
Yeah, I got
And
that
that
with
was when I
Jurassic
realised
Park
Terminator
one
was a
year.
big thing. Watched the first one, and I think it must have been years later though before I would watch the original.
Yeah. This stuff's I said this at the start, this stuff's so great, like, you just get some shitty scrap cars and stuff, bung it in the foreground, have them run behind it with the rear screen projection models, you know,
But you
all
don't.
this captured at once. It's
It's
just great.
it's tactile though, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
it's a real thing. Um, I think it
and this
helps kind
person
of
gets nailed.
suspend belief because we're
Ugh,
so conditioned now to what CG is, even when CG is so realistic and detailed. We know what we're looking at.
yeah.
Whereas with this, it's like there's a renewed there's definitely a renewed value in practical effects
Yeah, although
these
I
days.
really I'm not I think we touched on this before, maybe this modern, like, hatred for CGI and pretending that it's not used all the time. Like, it has its place, and practical stuff has its place, but don't hate on either of them, just use them the way you're supposed to.
Yeah,
That guy, oof. See that guy this out the sunroof, that what horrible
yeah, he ain't coming back from that.
yeah, there's some, fire that's not really there.
It's the design for things. I don't know if it's because they did have to make them practically that like when you're looking at what are they called? Like the hunter killers are like the planes, aren't they? I don't know what the big tanks are called.
No, I can't remember.
Like what the lower is, what the official canon name is for them. But I don't
Tank.
know if it like tank, Terminator tank. I don't know if it's because they had to design something physical where you can't just start again. You can't just right click and go. "No, I don't like the line I've drawn there. Like start again. Like it's kind of maybe a bit more time and care and effort in to make sure whatever was produced was like they were happy with because
Mhm.
starting again is going to take you weeks and weeks and weeks to get back to that. So I don't know if that then produced better results, more kind of creative, inspired designs.
Yeah.
I don't mean to speak out of turn. I'm not a digital effects guy, a computer generated images expert, anything like that. But
Here's some
just the kind
sexual
of
harassment going on.
from Slider from Top Gun.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I always forget about this guy as well
Yeah.
until
What do you think of the characterization of, her flatmate playing a stock 80s lady?
what do you mean? What characterization?
Well, yeah, there you go.
And why is this guy getting an Albert Einstein t-shirt on? That's the first I've really noticed it.
I've that's thanks for pointing that out. I've never noticed it either. Maybe that
Yeah,
was a thing.
just doesn't seem like the type to have an Albert Einstein. Like you would expect a jock to have that, but maybe it
That,
was like
hang on, that guy with that criminal with the beard there looked like the guy with the beard from The Abyss. Like that perp.
really not.
Looked an awful lot like him. Here you've got
But
Lance
it's like,
Henriksen,
yeah,
who was up for the part, up for the role,
was
auditioned
it some
for
of
it.
the concept artwork was not was? I think there's concept artwork exists
Yeah,
of Lance Henriksen, isn't there?
he put he had he apparently he put like the tin foil out of chewing gum wrappers. He like put that on his teeth when he did his audition. I'm like, because that was like because so this here's the kind of like the the thing that doesn't work with the Terminator premise is that you cast Lance Henriksen as the Terminator because he looks just like a regular guy.
Regular Joe. Yeah,
Yeah. Although he does look terrifying. Let's not pretend that Lance Henriksen doesn't look scary.
he's got a kind of
Um,
sharpness to him,
he does have a
Henriksen.
very
Aye,
yeah
I kind of
yeah. Um, so they would walk into, picture the nightclub scene that's happening, in a minute or two, with this unknown man wandering out, and Michael Bean's trying to find out, he doesn't know who he is, and he's trying to locate him. Whereas now you've got Arnie, this 6 foot, 450
6'2" or 3", I
pounds,
think.
uh, uh, machine of a man walking in. You go, ah, that's the Terminator there. You
Yeah.
could point him out of a crowd pretty easily. Um, so you have to. It's a suspension of disbelief thing, I guess. That's why I like Robert Patrick in the sequel so much.
Yeah. So they kind of, I suppose they kind of remedied that, didn't they? Because I have read, I enjoy my special features and things anyway, but I did some research coming into this just so we'd have some stuff to talk about, obviously. And I think that was the original plan, hence maybe why they went down the Lance Henriksen route, was that the Terminator, which is probably more realistic of a machine, like the thinking, if you're trying to create the perfect assassin, you'd want him to blend in. You wouldn't want him to,
Mhm.
you'd want him to be someone who just is a face in the crowd so that he catches you
Yeah.
unsuspectingly.
But then
And
I also like the idea that Arnie is, as the films go on, Arnie's like the kind of
he's just a model.
Robert Patrick is an upgraded model, so it's like you think of technology getting smaller. So like the Arnie model's that size because that's literally as small as they could make a Terminator.
Make it,
So they're like, well, we better get this enormous, human
he needs to be
skin.
strong. If he's going to be
Yeah,
strong, we need to have him. His parts need to be this size, yeah, all that kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah, I quite like that. It's pretty cool.
yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
think
you're right
was it
though. Sorry.
it's a James Cameron, was it something like, if Arnie's a tank, Robert Patrick's like a Jaguar, you
Aye,
know, or something like that. A Ferrari, I don't know, a Lambo. And here we go. We're leading up now to the maybe the best scene in the film. I love this scene, the nightclub scene that's coming up. I think it's
slow
great.
motion build up
The music,
is good.
everything is
Yeah,
is great.
it's
Yeah.
the kind of thing when you watch this now. If you were watching this for the first time as a youngster, you might not appreciate it because it's been like done to death, like
Hmm.
using slow motion as a build up. So you might not appreciate that at the time. That was quite an original way to cut that scene and to film that from Cameron.
There's Paul Winfield drinking coffee with a cigarette butt in it. Lovely. I drank a can of Coca Cola with a cigarette butt in it once when I was a small child, and someone told me there was a cigarette butt in it, and I thought I was going to die.
But you're still here,
I'm
so
still here.
I know how that went.
Yeah.
And when
Uh,
you've got small kids, you quite often end up with unexplained objects in your beverages. Not fagged outs though. I mean, I
hmm.
don't want the social work getting involved.
It was an accident. I got told not to. Don't take a sip of that. Did it anyway. It's my own fault. Um, I love these two. I love Paul Winfield and Lance Henriksen in this.
Yeah,
They're just like in any other '80s film, they'd be like the main guys, the buddy cop film.
aye.
Uh,
Because this predates obviously like Lethal Weapon,
yeah,
and maybe even I'm trying to think what
40
40
hours. Does
hours
it
in that
predate 40 hours?
must be
I think
close.
so. Yeah,
It's just what you were talking about. That yeah, there needs to be a passage of time narratively so that
yeah.
we can have
Because
that kind of slow burn build up
she's already seen the first one, and that's a weird coincidence. But now there's two.
to now
You
she's
think,
getting bodied.
oh god, yeah, something's going on. How is he deciding on Sarah Connors? What about
It's
ladies
going
that
purely on
that
the phone book, is he not? Like just
yeah?
alphabetical order.
What if she married somebody called Mr. Connor after conceiving his son, and he's going for someone that's not even called Sarah Connor yet? What
But
was his backup plan? Because she might not be called Sarah Connor yet. She might get married in like 1987 to someone called Connor.
right, you're going the other way. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
thinking, meaning she might have got married after, but obviously we're going back to pre the
yeah,
birth, so you would kind of
yeah.
assume that she would still have her maiden name at that point. But no, you're right.
Would he just go, oh? I love as well that she's worked out that he's going in the order of the phone book.
Yeah.
The first lassie was the top one, and she's next.
Does she know that just now?
Yeah,
Or is it later?
she just looked at it there,
Oh, right, sorry.
and then
I'm
obviously
myopically seeing there.
Michael Bean starts following her.
Yeah, because you forget that, like, we've seen this, 100 times as of a
Hmm.
lot of people that I'm sure are listening to this. But you forget that at this point, if you've gone in blind, you don't know who's who
Well,
here, really, do you?
and well, you
Well, I suppose
unless
you've had the flashback though. You've had the flashback, so you know that
yeah, but we
you
don't
can maybe.
know we don't know what's going on though. We don't know that it's not like Terminator 2 when there's like that opening uh, voiceover that says, a hero was sent back and a baddie was sent back, and which one we get to him first. We don't know that's what's going on right now.
True.
I always thought she looked like Bridget Nielsen, that lassie, Stones, from Rocky Four. I love this the soundtrack in this club. It's great.
I bet,
Yeah,
a
we
bit
don't
of
know
it.
what's going on. We just know that two sort of sinister men are following her. We don't know to what end.
But you have had the flashback where he would appear to be some kind of human soldier
Yeah,
in a future war, and he obviously gets overturned
yeah.
in the jeep thing. So you could probably start to draw conclusions that he is likely a rebel soldier.
What if he's here to kill Sarah Connor, the lady who creates the Terminators in the future, and Arnie's the Terminator sent back to protect the
So do we
lady who
not know
creates
that at
them?
this point? The
No,
blurb is purely just the future that, like,
oh, what
the
did it
war will
say
be
at the
fought for
start?
tonight.
I can't
Something to
remember.
do with like the future war and
I'm so
that
tempted to
that'll be
rewind it and
decided
check,
tonight.
but that kind of
You can't do. You
ruins
should
the
really be more
DVD
more
commentary.
prepared.
We'll just start from scratch, and this commentary
Oh,
could be 3.5 hours long.
we have actually seen this before, folks. We might not be convinced anymore. Just stay right on this.
Socks. He's been having sex with socks on.
That's all heroes do.
Mm. You once said that to me. Do you remember saying that to me in Prestwick High Street? You said
No, I think it
this
was.
was back in our late teens, where
I don't think it was socks though. It was similar.
I think one of us may still have been a virgin at that point. I can't remember me. And I think you said if there was one guy to have sex with his jacket and his shoes on, it'd be you. And I've tried to live
I
by
think it
that.
was. I think Converse. I think I said,
Yeah,
Nicola, imagine still wearing your Converse.
I've tried to live by that rule in the 20 years that followed. What was the 80s fascination with iguanas and iguanas being in stuff? License to Kill had an iguana, like a hot woman with a pet iguana.
Must have just been the trend at the time. Like,
Yeah,
maybe that was when people realised, oh, you can get exotic animals as like domestic pets, and then become something cool in films.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
we
This
missed this
guy.
bit, but I read earlier as well that do you know when the reason she's obviously out at, like, well, she goes to a movie and then she goes to Techno Art because she realizes she's
Aye,
getting followed. But do you know that the guy that leaves the messages on the answer phone,
it's James Cameron.
James Cameron? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Only I did my IMDb research, but I didn't know
Terminators don't think about like collateral damage much, do they? Like, did he know that that man or that woman wasn't the person that has got something to do with
but
creating
he's
Skynet?
obviously assessed that this is a threat and I need to deal with that, and I'm not going to be able to do my.
Yeah, but what if she did create Skynet and suddenly he just disappears, or any of the many people that are killed
This bit bothers
as a
me,
result?
how much he blinks here. Like, why is the
Yeah.
Terminator blinking after every shot? I know
Well,
it's
he's emulating human because he breathes as well.
true.
You know,
You can get too harsh with all this stuff, can't you? Though, as well, like
you
you
really
can.
can.
You really can.
Do
I hear you.
Terminators fart to blend in? Well, he says Michael Bean says they've got bad breath. They sweat. Do they fart? If so, there must be like a microchip and a little audio
And is it
speaker to make
is
a
it
fart noise
and how does it work? Is it
exclusively
like
for that.
one of these automatic air fresheners that just every so often just goes off, or does the Terminator
Yeah.
have control over when is the most convenient time to do it to blend in?
Mm.
These are all questions that need answered. That's why we need a commentary track from Jim Cameron.
It's true. Yeah.
So that is this the first time he knows what she looks like, or does
Yeah,
he have a preloaded image?
he doesn't know what she looks like. He just knows what her name is and knows what city she lives in.
He just now knows that,
Michael Bean has a photo of her.
of course, that photo.
Yeah.
But the Terminator is at this stage. He's just looking at that and going, "Cool, that is what my next Sarah Connor looks like," basically.
Well, no, because he shot the flatmate thinking she was Sarah Connor.
Aye, and he realizes,
And now he's realised that because the
and
answer
he's
to me goes
tied
off,
a loose
"Hey, it's
end.
Sarah." It's like, crap. Yeah. But now he's got he's got a visual ID on her. Here he comes. He got there awfully quick. Yeah, this is great. I don't even want to talk over this. I'm going to because
Techno
that's
Noir
going
is a cool name for a club.
it is a cool name for a club. That jacket's not great, is it?
I feel like that big chain would be constantly pulling it off your shoulder as well, unless you
Yeah.
actually fastened it.
And this little moment, where she knocks the thing off.
What do you like the look of the attire he dons in Terminator 2 or Terminator 1?
Like to wear myself.
Best.
Because I mean, has he not got leather trousers on in the sequel? Is that a leather jacket and leather trousers? I think it might be. Or the Elton John glasses he wears in Terminator 3. I love that shot where he looks up and she sees him and she's like really scared.
It's really
and
the
then he
beginning of
sees
Terminator 2
her.
is like a reenactment of this, isn't it?
The whole
Kind of.
Terminator 2 is a remake of Terminator 1. All the Terminator films are remakes of Terminator 1. They're all the same. They've all essentially got the same plot. Good Terminator, a goodie baddie, go back in time to kill John Connor, Sarah Connor, whatever.
It's fresh off the press here with a good director that knows what he's doing with the first two.
Yeah. I love this. Music's down, the score's up. The amount of people that haven't realised there's gunplay going on in this club is nuts. It's like Collateral.
I love that the music builds and then in the first gunshot, the score cuts out.
Yeah.
And
also, by this point,
life like a
we haven't seen like his robot POV, have we? By this point,
say again. Sorry,
we haven't seen like his point of view. The Reds. By this point in the film, have we?
Was that the first time we see it then when he's like scoping out Sarah Connor there? Did we see it there? Am I imagining that I see it?
No. I'm just thinking, do we understand that he's a robot at this point? So him being shot to pieces there and then getting back up, or where audience is going, "Wah! What's going on?"
I suppose.
And then like he completely annihilates him with a shotgun.
That's the first kind of like indicator that this isn't a man, as we know it.
And there we have the line.
What a line! What a line! Come with me if you want to live.
I wonder how they got that shot of Arnie, because that's so low for him to be hiding behind the rim of the door frame. They have to put the camera in the floor. There's a shot coming up that I want to talk about that I love, because it's coming up. It's when he jumps on the. There we go. There's the POV. I think this is the first time we see it.
I suppose you're right, because so that is the kind of that it would take away the shock factor of him getting up. But now we know that he's not.
And now he's on fire, and his eyebrows are gone when he comes up. The POV, which is arguably more difficult to see than human eyesight. Whenever we come, so here, see when he punches through here, right?
Yeah.
See that the wall in the background is moving because they're reversing. The car's actually stationary, and they've got like an articulated lorry with bricks painted on it driving past. 'Cause he had, like
Ah,
'cause he had, like, a big stunt arm that was, like, a big metal rod up his sleeve to punch through the glass,
ah.
so the car wasn't moving. Yeah, I like that. And now Arnie's got no eyebrows.
This is when he starts to look proper kind of badass, and now the no eyebrows and the kind of the spiky punk hairdo kind of goes with the outfit.
Mm.
Because up until then, like he's kind of flowing locks haven't really gone with like the outfit.
Yeah, his hair's kinda like mine actually in the first kinda half of this film. A little sort of J-turn there.
Police cars
What I
was
love
just so cool back
what
in
I
the day.
love about this as well coming up is, there's, like, a bunch of exposition to get through now because
Yeah,
us and Sarah need to know what's going on, but it's all done, like, during
yeah,
this
that's an excellent
scene,
point.
you know? We don't, like this the film doesn't grind to a halt shacked up in a motel and he tells her all about the future and that. It's just yeah, it
But the
happens in a
pace
kind
of
of
the
it
film was
happens
just
in a lull in the action, sure, because they're hiding in the garage
but
or whatever.
like you say, because they've placed it in the middle of a scene, as
Yeah.
soon as he delivered that line of exposition, you can cut to like him being rammed by the Terminator or
Mhm.
a gunshot going off, and then you're straight back in it.
Totally.
Yeah,
There's something
it's
about
probably not
driving
talked
without
about
your
enough.
headlights on that's pretty cool. Here we go. Look, here we're getting the here. I'm Reese. You've been targeted for termination. What? Yeah, this is it. It's great. Love it. And then you get him with his scary I can talk in someone else's voice, which
I
is
often
it's
forget that he does that in this film as
yeah.
regularly, and each time he does it, I forget kind of thing.
Well, that's it. It's planted early on so that we know we can do it later.
Hmm.
You know. I think Linda Hamilton's great in this. I said this earlier. People are like, nah, I'm not that keen on her in this film. Like they love her in the second film. They're not that
Yeah,
um hot for
yeah.
her here. I think she
I
does
think
a
she's
really good
an
job.
underrated kind of asset throughout the Terminator franchise. I mean, Dark Fate I've only seen once, but I thought she was probably the best part about it.
I haven't
That she
seen
can
Dark Fate. Is it
have you
worth
not?
it? I saw the last one. I saw Genesis,
Well,
and
Cameron's came out recently.
it's
I actually meant to
rubbish.
check that out. So if I don't know if you've seen it. This is just like a few days ago. He was at some conference and he's came out and kind of said that he still has plans for the Terminator franchise, but I don't know what was said. But during that time, he's ranked them, and he reckons that Dark Fate is the third best movie. But that's because he kind of has to, because that's the one that he
He
was
had some
officially
kind of input
involved.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like the executive producer
Do you
on it.
remember when they did the advert for Terminator Genesis, and it was him talking about seeing it? It's like because the first scenes of that are the first scenes of this, and you with the CG Arnold. And it's like
Aye,
I'm in the theater, lights come up, and suddenly I'm seeing things I recognize, and you're like, you were paid to advertise this film, and it's absolute garbage, and you know it. You know how much money do you need? You got all that sweet, sweet Avatar money.
well, he's got like what 5 or 6 something to pay for, so he's got to do
I
what he
know
can.
how much of his own money is he sunk into those.
He works every 10 years. So
Yeah,
it would seem
I
these
know.
days.
Did you think back when you watched Avatar 1 at the cinema that, you'd get to see Avatar 5 when you were like 56?
I'm surprised Avatar 2 actually did come about. See, just how long it went on, and I really didn't think it'd be a success, which is maybe really naive of me. But I was in the camp of this has been too long,
Mm.
and I didn't
People
think it
aren't
would make
excited
money.
for it anymore. Yeah.
I didn't think it would make money, but I was genuinely shocked when it made like
2.5 or whatever it
six,
was billion,
nearly
yeah.
2 billion. Really shocked at that because nobody talks about Avatar. No, nobody has pictures of. Nobody has Avatar T-shirts, Avatar figures, to my knowledge. The game came out there, which actually looked quite impressive for the PS5. Yeah, nobody talks about that. No, you don't get to see it getting streamed. Nobody raves about it. It's
Yeah.
such a weird phenomenon, Avatar. You know that it's so
Yeah, who
successful,
who are
yet
these
it
people that
leaves
went
no
to see it?
cultural like footprint. It's
Yeah.
like doesn't make any sense.
Did James Cameron just buy up all the seats so they'd give him money to make third, fourth, and 3, 4, and 5?
Perhaps he probably has enough money to do it.
Samuel L. Jackson does that apparently.
What?
He buys 1,000 tickets on the first weekend of release of his films
All right.
just to
Or just
bump them up the rankings a wee bit.
all right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard that. I'm sure I heard
How
him
many
say
thousand
that as well.
seats?
Like 1,000 or something. I know that's not much, but if it's a small
That's not.
film,
That's not a lot, is it? What's that? 5, 10 grand or something like that.
no, it's like $20
Ten
to
on a
go to the.
ticket.
It's like $20 to go and see a film, and
How does he even do that? Though, what a pain in the ass that would be trying to like. Because surely when you go on a website and try and book X amount of seats, it will say you've reached your limit when you try and buy like 4.
well, then he's got some minion to do it for him. I don't know. So anyway, we've had a bit of exposition, which is great, and she's kind of on side, but not real. You know, she's like, "Well, I'll go along with you because it seems like it's in my
She's
best
like, this
interest."
sounds ridiculous, but there is a guy trying to kill me. So
Yeah.
see, Michael Bean sells it as well as like as right. He's not uber cool. He is cool because he's trying not to be cool. If that makes
Mm.
sense. Like he's got the shitty pants on. He's got the Mac. Um, he's kind of ruggedly handsome in that, but he's a bit afraid, as you would
Hmm.
expect. I mean, the future of what we've seen it so far looks pretty grim. You
Yeah.
ain't going to be charismatic and full of jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to be burnt out, probably suffer from PTSD, and that's the vibe I get from him.
It's
And this,
funny because people talk about like Bruce Willis being, or maybe Mel Gibson changing the face of action films because it was the muscle bound. It was Arnie and Stallone and Chuck Norris and what have you. And then they came along and they were like, especially Bruce Willis and Die Hard, were like a relatable
Everyman,
everyman stuck in the situation. But look at Michael Bean here.
who's in excellent shape, by the way.
Yeah.
Like you can tell he's in really good shape, but yeah, he's just a
Hmm.
normal looking guy. He's not like overly massive or muscular.
Nah.
But I think it's important as well because they have cast Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is obviously Mr. Olympia, big and imposing. So you can't have someone that's the same size, or it takes away from the kind of
Hmm.
threat. I think.
Well, he wanted to play Reese, didn't he? When they met.
I think that was the part that he initially read for and met
Yeah.
Jim Cameron about.
Because he wasn't up for
And my,
being a baddie.
my understanding is that during a dinner that they had, they then slowly talked about, well, whoever is playing the Terminator should do this and should do that, and Arnie actually started to get himself excited about the idea of it
Yeah, because
because
I think Arnie had more ideas about the Terminator, and James Cameron's just sitting there watching and going, "Yeah, tell you
okay,
what, read it once
yeah,
more, but in your head you're the Terminator, and see what you think."
yeah, because
Uh,
I think Arnie was reluctant to take on the Terminator role because it had very few lines of dialogue, and that had
one
been the
thing
problem with
that's
Conan
one th-
as well. So he was
yeah,
trying to obviously get more speaking parts and stuff.
one thing that's really obvious if you read Arnie's book or watch the recent documentary about him is that Arnie had a really like clear goal in mind when he came to America, did the weightlifting thing, became world famous at that, and then when he get into films, he had a path, a route that he was gonna take, and chose his films really carefully for what he thought the audience were gonna want from him next. And
Yeah,
there were no real like missteps until we got into like the 90s Last Action Hero, which I think is a really good film, to be quite honest.
I think last I've done a video on Last Action
Really
Hero,
underrated, yeah.
and I think it's one
But
one
it
of
was
the
his
most
first.
underrated Arnie films
But it
ever
was
made.
but it was like a stinker, at the box office because it was up against Jurassic Park. Weirdly,
Yeah,
it made about as much as Demolition Man made that year, and no one talks about that being a flop
yeah.
because
It was. I don't think
there
it had the
wasn't
same budget and the
it
same.
didn't have the same expectation.
Aye,
You know, Arnie had just been in Terminator 2, which was the most successful, the most expensive film of all time, and one of the most
At
successful.
that point,
It just made that, and he just done, and he came off Terminator. He came onto Terminator 2 from. This is great, by the way. The shooting between the yeah. Sorry, we're talking over all the good stuff.
see, to be fair, Alan, obviously I'm listening to this on Amazon Prime through the same headphones, and when they start shooting, I can't hear
You
what you're
can't hear a
saying
word I'm
anyway.
saying. Yeah,
We'll have to
okay.
iron that out for future ones. I can't hear you,
he
but I'm straining to
he
hear you
just
when they're
done. He,
when
he,
they shoot.
he came on to Terminator 2 off of like Kindergarten Cop. So he the tough. I'm a tough guy was pretty much gone. He done Twinsies and Kindergarten Cop before going on to Terminator 2.
What do you
Um,
think was Arnie's biggest grossing movie up until Terminator 2? Maybe Predator?
um, I don't know. Maybe it was Kindergarten. No, it must have been Twins. Twins was really successful, wasn't it?
When was Twins? Was that like
It was like 88,
89, 90 or something?
88, I think. Because then it was
88 or
Total
something?
Recall. Um, I'm not gonna go type in and find it out because all you'll hear is on the
The
on
car
the
chases, just the action in general in Terminator is great. There isn't a lot of sped up stuff, which
yeah.
was quite
And that is
common.
Michael Bean out the window, isn't it? There's a little bit of sped up stuff here, but that's all right. Um, and oof, um,
Yeah, there isn't much. I've just said about sped up, and then we get we get a
yeah,
few frames of sped up,
it happened all the time, not just in the
but
80s.
it's subtle enough. But all this, it holds up well because it's not just because it's done practically, but it's shot well. It's well edited. I don't know who the editor was for this film, but
Question: why does Arnie run away in this scene? Why is he mysteriously gone?
yeah, especially when we know that later on he's gonna walk calmly into a police office and
Is
take
it
everyone out. So you think he'd be able to deal with them, no problem.
yeah? Is it because he's knackered his arm?
I think that would be my explanation. That like his
But
little
is
internal UI is telling him you're critically damaged. You need to go and repair before you can
yeah?
assault.
Because even without a
That's the
gun,
next
he
scene.
could probably deal
That's
with
quite
those couple of guys quite easily. You
yeah,
know?
because the next scene is him sorting his eye, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. The bit where he turns into a
Repairing himself.
Thunderbirds puppet for a minute or two. Remember Thunderbirds, everyone?
I
Here
was
you
more of
got
a stingray. I was more of a stingray man. I had the stingray bed covers.
Stingray, Stingray. Da-da-da-da-da. Here you got Doctor. Is it Doctor Silberman or
Silver, I
Silverman?
think it is. Yeah, Silberman.
Yeah. Um,
SILBRMAN.
aye, he's great. And I love that he's got an expanded role in the second one. It makes complete sense that he is her like psychiatrist in
Aye.
the second film, and then he's randomly in the third one for no reason for two
Is it
minutes.
in the third one? I've not seen Terminator 3
Yeah,
in a
he's
long
brought.
time.
Oh, it's yeah. I'm not even gonna talk about it.
All I remember is the talk to the hand scene.
She'll be
Enough,
back. This is
enough
look
said.
how good the makeup effect on him here is. I know
Yeah.
we get into um, super marionation in a minute, but the makeup stuff where it's still Arnie is great. That eye looks
Yeah.
rough, and the when he's operating on his hand, where it's obviously a fake dummy arm, and his arm's up his sleeve somewhere, with a real hand poking through the table
Uh-huh.
is so good.
But that's like old
So
school movie magic, isn't it? That's what it's
it
all about.
really is. It's just icky, and when you see the uh, the little pistons, going up and down, and there's like a artery like draped over them.
Yeah. It's Stan Winston in this, isn't it?
Yeah,
He
Stan
was
Winston.
because I remember again some special feature or something I've watched where I think Arnie was in disbelief as to looking at the concept artwork. I think he was like, I don't believe you can do that. And he was like, it's not a case of like whether or not we can do it. It's just how patient you can be. Like how if you can give me as much as your time and be patient, I can make
Yeah.
that happen.
And then obviously he got him on to help with Predator after their uh, failed attempts with the previous design.
The Jean-Claude Van Damme
The
prawn.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah, a big prawn. Yeah,
It's
it
not
was.
actually unlike what would pop up in District 9 years later.
That's true. It was. It was red because it was easier to key out of the jungle to make it
Okay.
invisible. There's no red in the jungle.
Of course, yeah. And that kind of
Green wouldn't have
factory.
worked because it's all green. Yeah. So here you get a bit more um, exposition where they don't really sell us on exactly how the time machine works.
Do you know a film that I didn't actually realise until watching them quite close together? It's so similar to the point it's nearly ripping off Terminator as the Highlander or Highlander. And this scene is pretty much very like the scene where Nash gets brought in and they're kind of
Yeah.
questioning the fact that he's got a funny accent and all that.
Yeah. You
Very
talk funny,
similar
Nash.
movie.
Where you from? Lots of different places.
Lots of different places. You're cruising for a piece of ash.
He was so depressed by the lousy wrestling, he cut his own head off. Yeah. I love that film.
I love Highlander as well, but
It's
I mean, even the
objectively not very
I
good though.
don't know
See that
why.
even
Like
that's even I like that
Turpin is
as
just a
well.
rip off of Terminator.
That's a great shot as well when he's like gouging his eye out. It's only when it goes like full, like when
Even
the
this is
eye's out,
clever. Like
yeah,
it's just left to the imagination. Like there's only a
and it
few
and it, and
seconds,
it
but
pops out is lovely as well. There we go. Um,
little cutaways to the blood and stuff. Like sometimes just
yeah,
leave it to the imagination. It's fine.
and then it's suddenly it's Troy Tempest. Um,
Then it's Thunderbirds I go.
telling is yeah,
Meanwhile, I'm Chase
five,
Island.
4, 3, 2, 1. The close
When
up's
I
great
did,
though with the eye. The close up with the eye is great with the iris moving and everything.
yeah,
And then the puppet puts his sunglasses on, looks dead cool.
yeah. I mean, that is cool. But it's easy to poke fun at it, but
But
it's still an
we're
amazing piece of work,
poking
though.
fun. We're poking fun because we love it. We're not.
Aye.
I don't know how else they would have done it at the time. It just hasn't aged quite as well as the rest of it. But
See,
now, I mean, look, you look at what they do now with the recent Terminator films, and they obviously they can do anything. So now Arnie's wandering about with like one leg and one arm, and they can properly take away half his face, leaving the metal skeleton instead of like in T2 in this they have to bolt metal bits onto his face, and they end
yeah,
up sticking out further than
and then to then take
they
away
can
the fake
actually
skeleton kind of thing.
remove than add on.
Did you
Um,
have any of the Terminator figures that you could like?
I don't
I don't
think
know
so,
if
but I remember the ads. I used to see the ads in the back pages of my Thunderbirds magazine, believe it or not. And
the little
yeah,
catalog when you were
and
picking
yeah,
out your Christmas presents.
and they all had like it was like this Terminator's got a detachable arm that's got a big gun on it, and this Terminator there was like goo or something. I seem to remember goo.
There was one
All toys
that was
had goo.
almost like a kind of it was the endoskeleton, whatever it is, or the exoskeleton.
Oh, you poured
You put
skin
them in
on
a
it.
mold, and you could put the skin on them,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, I
you could
remember that.
pull it off as you seen fit.
And trample it into the carpet, and your mum would
Which
shout,
would be a
"Aye,
parent's nightmare now that I've got kids, but
yeah."
at the time it was cool.
That's why I wasn't allowed the Ghostbusters 2 or the real Ghostbusters cartoon ooze, the slime,
Yeah,
because you trample it in the carpet, and that'd be it, the end of that. I love when he shouts into the camera, like not
yeah, when he
not
proper kind
knowing
of loses
not
it,
not knowing
yeah.
that she's watching. Yeah, and you get that she gets that little feeling because she's not seen a huge amount of evidence that he's a robot from the future. She knows that something's up with him, but she's probably still on the fence about whether this guy's nuts or not.
It's also interesting watching this, having the knowledge of T2 that Sarah Connor becomes that. Like almost, she has that exact scene in the
Yeah.
second one where she's losing her shit and she's, maniacally saying you don't understand, and she's kind of
Mhm.
became Kyle Reese.
Yeah. I know what happened. It happened. Freeze frame.
She's brilliant. She's like a completely different person in
Yeah.
Terminator 2. Proper unhinged. The shape she got herself into as well.
Mhm.
That she's like in shape, but she's almost like underfed because filling in the for me filling in her backsuits because she probably doesn't. She smokes 20
Mhm.
fags a day instead of having lunch. Like, and that's what. But she's still working out, so she's got like no body fat because she's just so strung out and obsessed with it. Her goal.
Yeah.
Mission.
There's no way that couch is comfy. I know he says it is, but it isn't. I love
He looks
this.
like he's
I love this moment where the Doctor doesn't quite meet Terminator.
just narrowly misses him, kind of thing.
Yeah. And here's obviously everyone knows this bit. I wonder if that actor with the specs and the tash realized that he was about to become a participant in one
One
of
of the
the
most
most
iconic scenes.
memorable movie moments ever. Where is he now?
He's probably been dining off it at Comic Cons for like the last 30 odd years.
Yeah, everyone says it to him. Oh.
Yeah, he takes 100 quid off you to come up and say the line. See, when I went to see the 4K
And
restoration,
he gets turned. So he gets turned into a Thunderbirds puppet as well, just for a few frames in a few
see,
seconds.
a lot of people are asking for in the new restoration to CGI out Arnie's eyes there.
Yes, CJ
Almost
Arnie's
just like
eyes. Oh, can you
so.
see
See
them
when he
through the
comes right up,
glasses?
you can see that he has both his eyes. So people
Ah,
are saying
fuck, who
just
cares?
tint them so that it just suspends the illusion that he still has
Well, I've never
a robot
noticed.
eye underneath.
I never noticed. It's about where you're looking at the screen. Here's a question for you. Was this the most efficient and effective way to dispose of Sarah Connor? Because there
What
is
to
no
say?
ticking
The whole get
ticking
up.
clock. There is no ticking clock element to this. He doesn't know when she's going to get pregnant or have John Connor. And he's not going to be a baby when he overthrows the robots in the future. So he's got a bit of time. Couldn't he just have waited outside in the car park with a rocket launcher and waited for her to come out? Rather than like annihilate an entire police station. I mean, I know he's confident that he can do it, but she only escapes
That's
because of
cool.
all the confusion. Yeah.
So all these sound effects have been dubbed over as well, but I actually think they sound better in the new version because I don't know how familiar you are with the old
So we
version, but in the new one, sorry, in the old one, it was quite kind of western. It's got the old school like ridiculous ricochets like the pew and all
yeah.
that kind of thing.
So
Whereas
this on
this,
Prime, this is the
this
new one. This is the current
yeah,
version that's on Prime. Yeah.
this is the one that was the sound effects were redone for the Dolby Digital 5.1 mix, and there's now like a DTS
Yeah.
like lossless 5.1, but it's the same sound effects.
Okay.
So people are basically, there's a new 4K version coming out at the beginning. I think it may actually be November 5th. Beginning of November anyway, and people are hoping that people think it's going to get a new Atmos track, but people are really hoping that they're going to put the original 2 channel on it as an option,
Okay.
which would keep everyone happy. But I don't think they'll do that personally.
I always feel that Lance Henriksen gets and Paul Winfield, they both get kind of short shrift in this scene. I don't think either of them deserve to get shot to bits, especially not Lance Henriksen that gets properly shot to bits. Although there's the respect, we don't actually see it, do we? Because we see Paul Winfield take a bullet,
Well, I think
and
that's because
then
there was deleted scenes though. So have you
was
seen the
there?
deleted scenes for this?
No, does Lance Henriksen get completely annihilated?
I can't remember. Like, I know there's an extended scene with uh, is it Traxler? Ah, right, yeah. It's just a kind of transition, and but there's an extended scene with Traxler, a deleted scene where he's kind of dying as a result of being shot there, and Reese and Sarah pass him in the
Mhm.
corridor whilst they're making their escape, and he basically just kind of says words to the effect of like, I believe your story now," and he
Oh, right,
gives
okay.
Kyle Reese his service revolver. So when
Oh,
Kyle Reese has the revolver later on, which
that's
in
Lance
this cut
Henriksen's.
we don't know where he got it from, it's Traxler's revolver because he
Ah,
basically
okay.
gives him the revolver and says, "I believe you, keep her safe," because he's
Okay.
realizing that the fate of the world is being
Yeah.
decided tonight, kind of thing.
I can see why they cut that. Um, so in this film, you've got Lance Henriksen and Bill Paxton, both famous for being killed by a Terminator, an alien, and a Predator.
That's right.
Although I would argue that Lance Henriksen does not get killed by an alien. He gets ripped in half by an alien, and then Sigourney Weaver turns him off in the third one, rather than it being directly killed by an alien. But yeah,
And he's not a
um,
real person. There's that angle.
true. And he had to do one of those shitty AVP films in order to get killed by a predator, whereas Bill Paxton just legit got killed by a Terminator, an alien, and a predator in proper, quite good films.
He had to step outside the official timeline to make it happen.
Yeah,
I have, I have fun with Alien versus Predator. It's
it's
not brilliant, but it's like
well.
it does what it says in the tin.
Let's do a commentary track on that next. Let's not even give them
Aye.
the option. It's like it's what you're all waiting
I'll,
for,
look,
folks.
I'm a complete overnight. My head is bursting with trivia for the 11 Daylight, so that needs to be that needs to be the next one.
Yeah, why not?
I'm so gutted about that. Although someone did comment on the poll as well, saying that License to Kill would have been the better of the two, and I replied to him saying, "No, that was the original plan, but for selfish reasons, we wanted to cover 11 Daylights, which people
I
might find out
saw
about later down
I
the line."
saw I saw License to Kill at the pictures last year.
Did you? Was that when they did the 60th anniversary? Like,
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. There was nobody else there. It was great. Um,
I was booked up to see Star Wars tomorrow, A New Hope, but I've cancelled it. But I think it's shown a few times, so I was hoping to see the original trilogy.
aye, but it's the new
Um,
versions of them all.
yeah, I know. I say
It's
the
the
original, you don't
McClunky
mean like
version,
it's the CGI fest.
and
I've never
and
seen A New Hope in the cinema though. It was the CG, like when they originally re-released them in the 90s.
yeah, I saw the three of them back in the 90s, which was a treat. Even though even back then I knew that there was something wrong with them.
Something up.
Yeah. So here we get the first little suggestions that she's a bit of a survivor. She tries to help him out here and with the med kit and all that, first aid kit. Um,
She does have
even
quite
though
a
even though she's
satisfying
not,
arc.
yeah, because she's not confident about it, but she's gonna do it. You know,
Because she's starting to believe the the stakes. So she's kind of like, right, if this is true, I need to start pulling
mm,
myself together here.
yeah, she must be smelling his trousers though.
Yeah, at what point do you think she's got the whiff? Do you think the entire movie she's been thinking, what is that smell? But now they're underneath the bridge, she's like, it's
It's
his
him.
fucking trousers.
It's definitely him.
Because they've
Yeah,
been running about and they've been in contact with different people, but now she's like, no,
yeah.
it's him.
It's like, do you ever see the movie Clue with Tim Curry?
I've
It's
never
based
seen it.
on
No, I know the
based
one
on
you mean.
there's a great recurring gag in the first 5 minutes of that where someone has stepped in dog shit on his way to the house, and then they all arrive at the house one by one and all meet each other, and people are constantly going and like checking their own shoes, thinking it's them. Yeah, that's her in these trousers. Because it's all you be thinking about. Like, I've known people that smelt really bad, and they weren't homeless. No offense to homeless people,
He's probably.
but
I think Cameron's famous for like sticking in a laser-like fashion to his scripts. But someone with our sense of humor might have realised that there's a chance for a gag here. You could have a little bit of lightheartedness if she mentions she's like at the end of the sequence. She's like, "What is that smell?" And he's like, "Well, I did steal these off a homeless guy."
or
Like,
wait
and then it
5 minutes
cuts to the
because
next scene.
he goes shopping. Remember, he goes out to buy all that stuff to make bombs. She could have went,
She said,
want to get yourself some more trousers?
"Yeah," and he's like, "What's wrong with these ones?" And she's like, "Well, you smell like a homeless guy."
Eureka fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. This is a little creepy though, isn't it? You know that movie thing where men love women they've never met for no
Within
reason?
seconds,
Yeah,
meeting them.
and women well, it's more common for women to love men, you
Aye,
know,
that's like the
in
Bond
in
effect,
these
isn't
films,
it?
the Bond
Bond's got a
effect, yeah.
massive, yeah.
Bond's got a massive what?
I didn't say that. Don't put words in my mouth.
Um,
It's his fault.
yeah.
It's that franchise fault though that he created the trope of like the.
No, it's older than that. All the old, like,
I suppose
Bogart
way back to like the 50s,
films,
but aye, like
yeah,
film noirs and that.
women just fell at men's feet, or did after you slapped them out a few times,
Aye,
back in the 40s, 30, 20s, and 40s. All the pre-code stuff. This scene lasts for ages. I don't remember this
yeah.
scene under the bridge lasting this long.
I forgot they go shop. That's when they go shopping to get the stuff for like the pipe bombs and that, isn't it?
Well, I think he says he's no, he goes out. Well, we're talking about a bit of the
We
film
get
that
a
hasn't happened
flashback
yet.
here, don't we? I think we get a
Yeah,
flashback.
we see the but he loses the picture, doesn't he?
Yes.
About the fucking hiccups. That's good
So
for a commentary track.
I could just mute you if you like.
I'm gonna try.
So time it. Give me a visual cue, and I'll just hit mute for each one.
I'll try. I'll
Ah, you're all
try and
listening. Stay straight. Pick up away.
yeah,
So
yeah. Because this is the only like bit of because the rest of the future scenes are all kind of a bit abstract without any context. You're not really
yes,
sure what's going on. This is
now we
the
know
only bit
exactly
of
who Kyle
future
Reese
stuff that's
is.
yeah.
Yeah, and now we
And
know
we
what
see
we're
a bit
looking
of
at.
the world. We see a bit of the world.
To me, this was speaking about the wider franchise. This is the glaringly obvious direction that the Terminator franchise needed to go in.
Well, it
And
did, and
Salvation
then no
did,
one liked it
but nobody liked it.
because they got the guy
It's
that
my favorite film. It's my favorite film
the
outside of
two.
the two.
Well, it's because they got the guy that directed Charlie's Angels to direct it.
That didn't help, but it was the right direction. And to the guy's credit,
It was the
McG.
right.
I mean,
It was the right direction, but it just wasn't.
but you not like it though.
There was something really unsatisfying about it. It's really forgettable. Um,
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. There's maybe not many like memorable.
I'm not. I know James Cameron's pinned his hopes and dreams for the future on him, but I'm not convinced of Sam Worthington as a engaging screen presence either.
I think he's good in that. I just like Salvation. I've watched Salvation a lot. I go back to it quite a lot. I like the grimy kind of drained of color like look that they have in it. I
I
kind of like what
will.
they did.
I will do something further. I will rewatch it. I've not seen it possibly since it came out. I think I might have only seen it once.
It's a shame that it almost goes the entire film without having to rely on Arnie, and you can tell that's been the studios went. Can we not just get Arnie
Yeah,
in though? We need to get Arnie in because it's a Terminator film, and we're not confident that without him it can be successful.
yeah.
But I actually don't mind it, but it's just so obvious that it's like a studio intervention. But it's not that bad
Would you
when he does.
would you live in a future like this, or would you just go, nah, just kill me?
This is all stuff that could be explored though, and I think a series is the way to do it. I've not seen the
The Sarah
Connor
Chronicles.
Chronicles, which I know the Sarah
Yeah.
Chronicles, which I know doesn't take place in the future war, but
It
apparently
got.
it was really good.
I saw bits of it. Someone gave me a shot of it on DVD years ago, and here's some T eight
There's
hundreds
another cameo coming up
that
here,
don't
by
look
the way.
like.
Do you know what this cameo is?
No,
Right, I didn't know this, and even looking at it now, it's not that obvious. But that's Franco Colombo,
Columbo. Ah, okay. I was going to
Arnie's
guess that
like
that's who
training
it
partner.
was. Yeah. Um, but proof that they're not all modelled on Arnold Schwarzenegger's face,
Yeah,
despite what the sequels would
would
have
you
you
say
believe.
that's the model before Arnie, isn't it? Slightly.
Right.
Arnie's
Okay.
Arnie's an upgrade after.
I see.
You can see it now when you look at it, but I've watched this for years and never put that together.
He's got the red eyes, which is kind of creepy. Yeah, the Sarah Chronicles. The Sarah Chronicles.
Knuckles.
I watched a bit of that. It wasn't bad. I think I saw the first season. Um,
Is that a British actress in it?
yes, it's from Game of
Game of
Thrones.
Thrones.
Lena Headey or
That's it.
Heady, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
It was. It's a nice little moment. It's nice ideas that like the Terminators got sent back to various points to make as like um backup plans
Aye.
if this one fails, this one, and basically they just sit and wait until
They're activated kind of thing.
they're activated, but they're like in they just sort of stand there. They find a quiet corner somewhere and just stand and like go into like standby mode. So you might
Stand
come
by.
across. There's one. I think I'm sure it was an episode where they come across one
A
and
mannequin in a shop or something.
he's blocking the way out of this building and they can't get past him because if they touch him he'll turn on.
Ah,
You
right,
know,
okay.
that's kind of a nice idea.
I seen them all in my local CX. I think I say them all.
Give
I
it
guess
a
two
go.
seasons, but they
But
were like,
it gets cancelled, so I hate watching shows that I know are going to get
yeah,
cancelled. I
I
love
know what you mean.
this scene with the possible response.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And Arnie now is looking pretty rough. I guess this is they don't really they don't go into this in any of the other films. I don't think that when the skin starts to be shot to bits or start to be
Is it
damaged,
decaying?
it doesn't heal. It decays.
It would be stinking.
Yeah. Although in Terminator 2, she asks him, "Will these heal up?" and he says yes. I guess it depends.
Like, does a Terminator piss and shit
No,
if
they
it
don't eat.
farts? It doesn't fart. We
Can
just
they
made that
eat?
canon tonight.
Yeah. Um, can they eat for appearance's sake?
Aye.
Because I've not seen it, but I know Arnie lives for a while as a man in the last Terminator film.
That was the bit that I think the first like 50 minutes of that fight's good. See if you just watch the first 40, 50 minutes, you almost feel like you're back in the good old days, like you're watching the kind of the third part of the trilogy that never was, and
Right.
then after that, yes, we meet Arnie, who's like one of these sleeper Terminators who kind of changed these ways and like ended up becoming domesticated. It's ridiculous. Like there's bits where he's wearing like a pinafore and all that. He's living in it, and it does a reasonably good job of explaining it, but it's just it's just one of those moments where you just can't get your head around. No, wait a minute. How did we go from like Arnie and Terminator One to this is what you're feeding us now? This is this guy's
I'll tell
living.
you how they did it because every Terminator film, certainly now, doesn't start with the seed of a good idea. It starts with how can we explain Arnie being a lot older than he
Arnie's
is in Terminator One?
still being here. Yeah,
You know,
that is the key. That is the problem with since Terminator Two. That's been the problem. That would have been the perfect time for
and
Arnie to bow out.
we'll build
Terminator Two.
a plot around it. You know,
Yeah, which is I
yeah.
suppose probably what they did with the series, and they were trying to do with Salvation, but you get shoehorned in at the end.
Have you seen the deleted scene from Terminator 3 where you see Arnie's Terminator
Probably
being
not.
made? It's
No.
it, it's like a Cyberdyne advert, that a commercial, and Arnie comes in, and it's Arnie speaking, but someone's dubbing his voice over, but it's quite clearly a black man's voice, and he's
Is
like,
that because it's a
he's dressed
reshoot,
up.
or is it actually within the context of the
No,
movie? It's
let me
supposed to
explain.
be
And
right.
he's in like a naval uniform. He's like, "Hi, I'm Sergeant William Kennedy, and I can't believe that Cyberdyne wants my face for these robots. Isn't that amazing?" And the guys all the corporate guys are watching this advert, and Arnie's like, there's like a Terminator head, and there's him, and he goes, "Hey, it's me." And then the corporate suits, they're all watching this and they're like, "Oh, I'm not sure about that voice." And this really like
Ah, right, okay.
Weasley guy in the back taking notes speaks in Arnie's voice. He goes, "We could fix it."
Ah, right. Okay. I can see why it was
That
deleted.
that
That,
that
that
existed
was
in
an
a
excellent
Terminator.
impression of
That
Sheriff
existed in
J.W.
a
Pepper from
Terminator
Live and
film.
Let Die. You just did there, mate.
It was pretty
Sheriff
good.
J.W.
Yeah.
Pepper.
You're that secret agent. He's. I watched The Man with the Golden Gun recently. He's incredibly racist in that film.
Oh,
Just about everything he says is a racial slur in that film. It's
I
shocking.
said that my brother and I coincidentally watched Live and Let Die on the projector about 2 weeks ago. We watched a Liam Neeson film, that new one that's set in Ireland, which was actually alright. And then we just needed a second favourite after that, just to kind of watch while we
Palate
had a few
cleanser.
beers. Yeah, and Live and Let Die went on. Thoroughly enjoyed it, but yeah, I said the same thing. That like, he's not as racist maybe as the Man with the Golden Gun, but yeah, there's a lot of kind of casual racial stereotypes and stuff get flung around in Live and Let Die, obviously because it's set in Harlem and stuff. It just
Yeah.
left it's wide open for it. It's in the early 70s, but
Anyway, we're not talking about a Bond film. Do you think it's weird that Michael Biehn leaves Linda Hamilton alone to go shopping when they get to this motel,
good point.
despite like,
That's a good point.
and he gives her a gun as well. Like, if Terminator comes in, make sure you shoot him with this revolver, which
Yeah,
we know doesn't work at all. You know, if you see him just
is there
run.
no wee line to suggest that he's because
No, he says something. He just no, it's just there. There you go. Take this.
they've driven here the way.
Yeah, I guess they
And I think,
think
is there not some kind of line where he says, like, we've obviously driven here and he's lost us now, so like we've got a bit of
he
time
doesn't say
because
it, but I guess it's.
he
I
needs
guess
to
it's.
track
It's
there's that
yeah.
going to be that buffer between him tracking us down again.
If we hadn't been talking about Live and Let Die, we would have noticed. And then obviously she phones her mum, and it's not mum, it's Arnie doing mum's voice.
Yeah.
And now we get the "I love you, I always have," which if I said
Travel
that,
through time
if I
for you,
said that to a
please,
lady,
girl.
if I said that to a lady that I'd spent 4 or 5 hours with, it wouldn't go down well.
She'd be justified in shooting you with a revolver.
Yeah. Is he? Is it implied he's a virgin in this?
Yeah, I would
Like
say
he's been
so.
saving himself for her?
Yeah, plus,
He does have a
although
picture of her.
you would think in a place like I would think, just thinking kind of logically, in a place where humanity's at the brink of extinction, it would probably be encouraged for procreation to be happening pretty much
Yeah, but they're being
every
constantly
turn.
constantly hunted by Terminators, though.
You just have to be a quickie then, wouldn't it?
You'd wanna make sure you weren't caught with your pants down, so to speak. Although
Oh,
it
you're
doesn't
fun. That's
stop
fun.
them. It doesn't stop
Socks
them
on.
here. Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit
Is
corny, but
that still those trousers?
it's a good line.
Yeah, it is. It totally is.
Does she just sleep with him because she's desperate to finally get those trousers off?
Quite possibly. But there's no suggestion that he's showered either. We know we saw her shower. Yeah. Yeah. This scene has been sort of ruined for me by a recent
We need to talk about it. We need to
yeah, a
talk about it.
recent spate of memes online. I'm not part of a Terminator Facebook page,
Neither am
but
I, but they keep
but
getting
because I keep saying the word Terminator near my phone, I keep getting Terminator memes on my Facebook feed, and
Skynet's all over you.
yeah, and for some reason they've gone in heavy recently on memes of this scene. And
I don't know where that's came from either. I don't know if it's just because the 4K like restorations in cinemas. Maybe there's a bit of like Terminator buzzed Cameron's been in the news a lot, like dissing physical media collectors and
is
stuff.
it
So I don't know if it's just
is it maybe because this is quite a kind of
iconic love scene
well, it's kind
or
of a
what.
treat because is it the only love scene in a James Cameron film?
No, you've got Titanic, obviously, which is a kind of famous one, the old hand
Oh
in the
yeah,
sweaty glass.
I was forgetting that.
But you're
Yeah,
right. There's probably not been a lot. I don't think
but
there's any in
there's no
Avatar.
T and A. There's no T and A in Titanic. Well, no, there is. It's just not in that scene.
This is
It's
the
in the
only
scene when he
this is the
draws it.
only 18 certificate Jim Cameron film. Is that right?
It's not an 18
Unless
anymore, is it?
is it 15 now? Is it?
Yeah,
No, no, you're
it got
right. Aye,
re-rated.
15.
But yeah, I think so. Well, no, Aliens is still an 18.
Ah, of course, aye, of course. Well,
Yeah,
there's no time for anything in that
yeah.
either.
You look at the Arnie POV in this scene as he's stalking up to the hotel, and tell me human eyesight isn't better than that. Like
They've maybe just not like the tech's not there yet to like recreate.
maybe,
Were you thinking that like digital like a digital camera doesn't even exist in 1984? You know, like
why not just film it
so
in bright daylight and then it's like and put a red
a red
tinge on
tinge
it.
and everything.
So you're like, look, it's dark. We can see that it's dark, but look how well he's seeing.
Yeah, that just to quickly go back to like the online meme culture with her in that compromising position. Some of it is quite funny, but the thing that sits uncomfortable with me is that Linda Hamilton's still alive and she's an old woman, and effectively we're all we're all sharing pictures of her like performing a sex act. Now I know it's in the name of art. It's not like I saw an actual photo of her from back in the day when she was, you know, I don't know, an ex-boyfriend's taken or something. But
Aye,
I don't know what it
it's
is. That
not
just
a
sits
fappening situation.
uncomfortably with me. That anyway,
Yeah, well, I
the,
mean, is it not the whole thing that like celebrities are fair game for memes?
well, of course there is that, but just I just think that she might be seeing it and she's an old woman.
How many old ladies do you know that go onto the
Terminator fan
internet and look
pages.
at memes? Yeah,
True.
although that's pretty ageist. Because obviously, I mean,
Is this the tunnel that's used in Blade Runner?
yeah, this tunnel's used in a million film.
Used in
Every
all
film that's
sorts.
set in LA's got. I forget which one it is. Um, there's a lot of sped up bits here after your comment earlier about there not being many sped up scenes. Um,
The the score here is awesome. Like
yeah,
it can't be stated enough how much the score lends to this film. I
but
watched
like,
this a few weeks ago,
look at
and
Terminator 2 at the story beats. There's a scene exactly like this at the end of Terminator 2 where he's chasing them in the truck and then in the helicopter, and
helicopter.
then
Yeah,
they get and then they crash the truck. They get into the steel mill. In this one, they blow up a truck and get into a
yeah,
whatever the hell this place is. You know, the Terminator 2 hits all the same kind of story beats.
yeah. It's almost like a kind of like high budget remake in many ways, isn't
It
it?
is. Arnie looks.
Even the plot, they're back still to kill ultimately John Connor, not Sarah Connor.
Mhm,
It's just that John's now alive. So it's the
mhm.
same mission.
He looks properly scary here now that he's all horrible and ugh.
I didn't realize until I watched them both back to back fairly recently as well that like you even get that same kind of joke when
Get
he
out.
takes the truck, get out, and then the T-1000 says the exact same thing
Mhm.
to the is it the helicopter pilot?
The chopper pilot, yeah.
Oh, aye, after he like forms back into like human form. I love the fact that the helicopter pilot just like jumps jumps out a flying helicopter
Yeah.
because he's that. You would though, wouldn't you? If you just seen
Do
that,
you
you'd be like, "Get me the fuck out of here."
do you think the opening of Terminator 2 is like the first like half an hour of it isn't handled right because you know from the scary music that Robert Patrick isn't a goodie and Arnie isn't a baddie because he gets on the bike and it's like born to be bad. Should they have just because if you were just watching that film, you would assume Robert Patrick's the good guy because he kind of looks a bit like Michael Bean, same kind of actor. Arnie's obviously Arnie.
I think what would have helped how, how you could have got around that problem was like a good red herring would have been if Arnie had killed someone at the beginning.
I mean, he definitely did,
Well,
didn't he?
but
Some of those
do you know
folk
what I
get
mean, though? It's a
fucked.
deliberate choice that he doesn't. They don't have him killing anyone because they want you to
Aye.
root for him. So like, but
He should have been
they
killing
go.
folk left, right, and
He
centre
should
until he
maybe
gets
not left, right,
told.
and centre, but he should have killed
Yeah.
someone quite nonchalantly just because he's a Terminator. And then it's only when John Connor says like, "That ain't happening no more," and then
Yeah.
he starts to develop. But then if he'd killed someone quite ruthlessly at the beginning, you wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Especially if
And
they
I
hadn't showed you.
and I think they spoiled it in the trailer at the time. I think they were like, "Nah, we're gonna heavily lean on this that he's the good guy now."
Aye.
Not the it was not the last time a Terminator film twist was spoiled in a trailer for a Terminator film.
I think Genesis was massively spoiled, wasn't it? And the director's
Oh
raging
yeah,
about
are
it.
we going to spoil it for anyone that still hasn't seen Terminator
Let's
5?
not. I mean, it's Terminator Genesis, it's dog shit anyway. But
Well, it's the fifth film. We need someone to be a Terminator. Ah, fuck it, make it John Connor. What?
I mean, I like to think I'm a fairly intelligent person that can follow complex storylines. But I must admit, when I was watching Genesis, I got to the point where I was like, it was a mixture of this is so ridiculous, so convoluted, and I just don't care because it's not entertaining me, and I
Yeah,
just kind of switched off.
it's the reason the plot's convoluted is because it has to be for it to exist.
Sorry,
The reason the plot's so convoluted is that it has to be so the film can exist in the first place.
it's like you said,
You
it's
know,
the Arnie problem again. It's
yeah.
Arnie
This
hearing
this
it's
this
causing massive issues.
film has the simplest plot. You know, it sounds complicated because there's time travel and all this stuff, but no. Robot goes back in the future to kill the mother of the savior of the human race. Done.
Yeah, don't overthink it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's only
It's been well.
one Arnie film that has got an easier plot to sum up in very few words. I can do it in 6 words.
Go for it. What is it?
Arnie and Danny DeVito are twins.
Hold on, well played.
There you go.
I
That's
didn't know.
all
I
you
didn't
need.
know what you were going to say there.
That's all you need to know about that film. If you're going to decide to watch that film, that's the sentence you need to know.
True.
That'll either turn you on or turn you off, that film.
See the.
And
I think it's
I
going to.
love this bit. All those idiots in the cinema thinking the film was finished. Yeah, it's a nice tight 70-minute.
Yeah.
Where are we?
It's not
Actually?
finished, but I suppose you just don't know
Well,
what we're getting though.
we're at 90 minutes, I guess. Yeah, because there's no indication that of what really is under there. You see his red eye, don't you?
Yeah,
You
we've
never
had
see
glimpses
any.
of it, but we don't know.
It's only Terminator 2 you finally see it. What do you think about the stop motion in this last scene?
Yeah, it's something else that's complained about. It's a
The
product of its
close-ups are great.
time.
All the close-ups of his face look awesome.
Yeah, it's just when he
Especially the
starts
fact you can
moving is the
tell that
issue.
they shot it with flames in the room.
Yeah,
So you got all those reflections on the chrome and everything. Do you still
I mean,
buy that it's Arnie? I know it's not Arnie anymore. Obviously, it's not, but it's that character is the character that we've been watching this whole
there's
time.
little touches like that I think have been done deliberately to tackle exactly what you're talking about there. So we've already seen Arnie walking around the truck with a
Mhm.
limp in it, like with a dysfunctional left leg, and then it very quickly establishes there that this skeleton has the same issue just to
Yeah.
remind you that it's one and the same. I don't have a massive issue with it. It's the stop motion.
No,
A lot of
neither do
people say,
I. Neither do I. But I can see it turning off like younger
"Aye,
audiences to this. Who want to who hear about it.
we're
Their
used to it.
dad tells them about it.
We've grown up with it, so we have got a bit of nostalgia and a bit for it.
Yeah.
We're likely to be more accepting of it. But yeah, a youngster seeing that is probably going to burst out laughing.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's been made about some fans have gone online and sped up the frame rate of stop motion, saying that when you do that, it looks better. So people have been asking, can we not get a restoration of the Terminator where we have the stop motion sped up to look a bit smoother?
So the thing,
I mean, you're the filmmaker, though, right?
the thing about stop motion is, and certainly early stop motion, is that there's no motion blur when I move my hand across the screen, my hand's
Yeah.
blurry, you know. But if I take a photo of it here, a photo of it here, a photo of it here, and then play that all back, there's going to be no motion blur
Yeah.
as it moves back and forth. So you don't get motion blur. I think it was Jurassic Park. Phil Tippett, was it Phil Tippett? I think invented something called Go Motion, which is stop motion that had motion blur. Because some of
Right.
the dinosaurs and some of the scenes they were going to do it all with Go Motion, but then CGI kind of appeared and we're like, I know we can do it with CGI.
Yeah.
But some of the, I'm sure
Blend of
some of the
animatronics
shots,
and
I'm sure some
yeah.
of the shots are still Go. I think there's a couple of Velociraptor shots that are Go Motion. I mean, a lot of this isn't stop motion. A lot of it is just the animatronic where he's looking around for them, and
Aye.
it's like a chest,
Tight close-ups and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
close ups or a mid shot there.
A puppeteer moving it about effectively or positioning it.
Yeah, it's a guy underneath, like the
Yeah.
Velociraptor. You ever seen the guy in the Velociraptor legs in Jurassic Park behind the scenes?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
a
Google it now.
guy with like braces on and Velociraptor legs to get the close up of the walking.
Ah, right. Okay,
Of
aye.
course it is. Why would you waste money and do it in a computer? Get a guy to wear some dinosaur legs and just go past the camera, you know. Um, yeah, all
I
the
think
scenes with this face are great, aren't they? They're
yeah,
just brilliant.
they still hold up well. The stop motion does break the illusion a little bit, especially for younger audiences. It's easy just to forget how like kind of groundbreaking that design is as well. Apparently, it wasn't too different from the original drawing that James Cameron did.
Yeah.
I think Stan Winston helped him with it a little bit, but it wasn't too
Did
far
you
from.
did you know where the idea came from? Where
I
Cameron's
think
script came
so.
from? He had
A
he
fever
had
dream
like
kind of thing.
yeah, he was sick and he had this really like intense um dream about a robot from the future trying to kill him. But then
And it was
there was some kind of rights because there's another writer credited at the end for like inspiring the film because I think
right.
this plot literally was in a book, or this premise was in a book that was already written, and whether Cameron has seen it or not, we don't know, or had maybe heard it through osmosis, whatever, you know. Um, I can't. I'll point it out when it comes up. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, we'll circle back to it, but I know that fever dream you're talking about. I think he apparently was in Rome. He'd just been sacked from Piranha
Piranha
2.
2, The Spawning.
He'd
Yeah.
flown himself to Rome on his own money, hoping that he could still get involved in the editorial like
Mhm.
process, and he'd taken unwell. And apparently, his dream was basically that the endoskeleton of the Terminator crawling towards him with knives in its hand. So apparently, he wrote the script kind of backwards from that because he was like, "Right, how do I get to that?
Mhm.
That could be a great finale, but how do I?" And everything. So he kind of wrote the script backwards. But what's interesting is I know quite a lot of trivia about RoboCop because I'm a big fan and stuff. And RoboCop often gets kind of criticised for kind of ripping off the Terminator or being inspired by the Terminator, but apparently Ed Neumeyer's always said, the writer of RoboCop's always said that he had the idea for RoboCop way back in the early 80s and was absolutely devastated when this came out because he was like, they've kind of beat me to it kind of thing.
Well, RoboCop's got nothing like Terminator.
It's not, but obviously it's a bit of
Oh,
cyborg robot though,
yeah.
like there's
Yeah, but
similarities. You're right, it's nothing that's
there's a million films about robots. R2D2 is a fucking robot.
imagine RTD2 being sent back to kill you.
Yeah, with his wee electric thing.
His wee taser.
Yeah. There's a shot coming up. Apparently, I'll point it out where it's when he crawls into the press and he starts to get squashed. They needed like one more close up of it, like because you see it at various stages as he gets squashed,
Yeah.
and they went back and reshot it because they didn't have it, and they just ended up with like a bunch of crumpled up kitchen foil and like a little red light on a torch, like a pen light. Just it was the shot of where his eye goes out. I think.
The eye fading it. Yeah.
Keep an eye out for that because you see the difference in like
See, we did it.
what it looks like here and what it looks like there. Yeah.
This is a good kind of final girl. It's
I
easy to
know.
forget that Sarah Connor is a final girl, kind of.
Yeah. I know.
Especially in
I'm
the
not
first one,
great
it's
on
very
confined spaces like that.
horrific.
I could never go like caving, and then this is just ugh, ugh me
Yeah,
crawling through that
I'm
thing.
not great with like really tight spaces like that either. But this is like we kind of glossed over it because we're talking about other stuff. But obviously, she has the whole on your feet soldier moment, which is
Yeah.
further progression of her arc, where she's starting to become like someone that you can imagine would foster the leader of the rebels.
And she gets the "you're terminated, fucker."
This is great though. The tension here is brilliant, and then you get that line we're about to get. It's drawn out just enough.
Aye.
So what am I looking for here?
Yeah. So so it's coming down, and you see it in various stages of
Is it one of the
crushedness.
close-ups?
I think it's the
That
very last close up
last one.
because you can see clearly that it's still a skull. It's still the thing here, right? But like when the actual eye goes out,
You can't. Yeah, it's just
hang
folded up
on.
like tinfoil.
Yeah, it's like styrofoam and tinfoil just like a pile.
Because it didn't have the prop anymore.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
and
they
that is
didn't
the
want to.
arm that will
They
be
didn't want
taken
it.
forward
That's yeah,
into the Terminator 2 that they'll then backwards engineer.
of course. And the body bag here is apparently James Cameron's suit bag. They didn't have a body bag, and he just went to his room and got his suit bag. Yeah, apparently. Yeah. So I heard. It's a real shame that this turned into a franchise and Michael Biehn was dead because it'd have been nice to have him. I know he comes back for the extended cut of Terminator 2,
Yeah,
but those scenes don't really work for me. I like some of the stuff in the extended cut of Terminator 2, but I'm not.
it's interesting. I know we're on Terminator 1 here, but it's interesting you say that because I've recently watched Terminator 2 quite a bit. And I'm in the camp of preferring the original cut. I
Mm,
think the extended cut takes forever to get going. Like,
yeah,
and then it just gets so bogged down with all the kind of daft stuff that happens in the middle.
like a lot of
It's nice to have it, but
yeah, like a lot of director's cuts. There's like a lot of the things you actually like are like 5 seconds. Like, oh, I like that.
and is it worth sacrificing the whole pace of
Yeah,
the film for it?
like the Aliens director's cut. Like, I love the auto guns in the corridor because none of that's in the theatrical release. But I hate that we go to the colony when everything's hunky dory. You know, I want us to go there with Ripley, not knowing what it was like before.
You don't know, yeah, and then you can leave it to your imagination what happened
Yeah.
to these people rather than seeing them cracking jokes about
Hmm.
Wayland Yutani and all that. I know I kind of agree. I tend to find that I usually prefer the original cuts to extended stuff.
I like the detail that she's bought herself a dog because they're good
And it's not
Terminator
a
detectives.
Chihuahua, it's a big German Shepherd.
Yeah, I know because they don't specify that it has to be a big dog that can sense Terminators, do
Oh,
they? It
right.
could
I
be
didn't
any
even pick up on what you meant there because he tells her that they use dogs to
yeah
detect them.
to detect them. Yeah, and every dog that goes near Arnie in this film barks. There's a dog at the motel that barks. There's a dog somewhere else that barks. And of course there's Wolfie from Terminator 2. Um, or that wasn't his
That's
name.
became a
Max was his
massive
name.
meme, hasn't it? That's that whole
Yeah,
your parents are dead. It's a clever film. I know every time travel film has loopholes, but it's clever that it ends with the
yeah.
photo
Well,
being taken.
that's the
It
thing.
all ties back to everything, you know.
Time travel, you have to take it with a pinch of salt because it doesn't matter what film or whether it's Bill and Ted, this Star Trek, Doctor Who, whatever. It doesn't make sense. Time travel.
No.
It
If
wouldn't
you
work in real life. It
stress
doesn't.
test it
Yeah.
enough, you'll
Um.
find holes in it.
So
Even
as
Nolan's
long
like
as the
Tenet and all that.
as long as the film's internal logic kind of works enough to enjoy it, just go with it, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. If it's engaging enough in the premise is interesting, well thought out enough. You shouldn't have time to stop and look at the cracks. Do you know what I mean? You should just be invested. Matte paintings, don't see them much anymore.
yeah, I used to know a guy called Matte
A
Paintings,
bygone era.
and that's not an especially good one either to close that film.
No,
It's a bit fakey. And there you go.
that's the
That's
end of
Terminator.
Terminator and our first ever feature-length commentary.
I know.
I
There
hope
you
you
go.
enjoyed it, folks.
Acknowledgement to the works of Harlan Ellison. It says in the credits.
Ah, what's his name?
Um,
Sorry,
Harlan Ellison.
Harlan Ellison. There you go. You can go away and Google that
Yeah,
yourself. I know I will be to find
yeah.
out
Do they
exactly what
expect
he.
us to talk to the end of the credits?
I don't know. Is that what
Do you want us
happens in
just
these
to
things?
read? Do you want us just to read these fucking things
Usually,
out?
usually the director and the official directors ones they bugger off quite quickly at the
Yeah,
credits, don't they?
you can literally hear the cigar being put down and leaving. Yeah.
Do you know
Don't let the door hit you in
just
the arse on the way out.
just seeing as we're kind of talking about commentaries in general, and it's our first one. What's one that a director's commentary you've listened to that's cracking that
I
you'd
listened to a
recommend?
really fun one recently. Have you seen Silent Running?
I have only
I
a few
love
years
that
ago that I
film.
watched.
I love that
Yeah,
film. It's a childhood film of mine. I really like it, and I think it was Arrow. God, is it over there? I think it was Arrow that brought
Arrow
out.
released it just recently.
Yeah,
Yeah, on
that's what
4K
it'll
and
be.
stuff. That was the one that I
Um,
watched.
and it had a really nice commentary with Doug Trumbull, the director, and Bruce Dern. Quite a recently recorded one, which was nice. I really enjoyed that recently. I'm trying to think to some of the best.
You know what's an absolute cracker that I really enjoyed? On the Hot Fuzz Blu-ray, there's a really kind of weird commentary that's Edgar Wright, the director, obviously, and Tarantino, who's
Oh
just
right,
who apparently just loves Hot Fuzz, and
yeah,
because he loved it, he came on and done. But it's one of those ones that are like the reason it's so good is because very little gets talked about Hot Fuzz. It's more it just becomes like
yeah.
these two great like kind of directors, these mind like going off and talking about all stuff, and you'll end up with like a massive list of movies that you want to watch off the back of them just talking
Some
about
of
their
the it depends what you
experiences
want
in
to
it.
get. It depends what you want to get out of a documentary, out of a director's commentary, because a lot of the good ones, I've got loads of like Criterion uh, and Eureka Masters of Cinema Blu-rays,
Aye,
which mostly all come with commentaries. But it's a film from like the 20s, and everyone involved is long dead, so it's like a film historian or a critic.
historians, yeah,
And they've quite a lot got some really good stuff that they've dug up and they talk about, that the director of the film at the time might not even have known about, you know. And it's interesting to get a commentary that talks about a film that came out nearly 100 years ago, but in a kind of framing of today's
yeah,
context,
yeah.
which is kind of cool. I'm trying to think other
It's definitely something that's not.
yeah.
I think it might come back around with physical media becoming a
So
bit more like.
are they not on 4K releases then?
No, they are. So if there's been a legacy one done on the previous release, they'll usually port it over, and
Hmm.
like say like Criterion, Second Sight, Arrow, these kind of boutique labels are good at going
Yeah,
back. Like the Hitcher's coming out. That's my next review, and they've gone back and recorded like a new one with a film critic and stuff. But they've also put the legacy one on.
yeah.
So like
And
yeah,
they,
if you go down the boutique level, you'll still get commentaries. But I think it used to just be a stand. You could expect it on like
yeah.
mainstream blockbuster movies, but they've kind of done away with that.
You need to wrap this up
Um,
quick because film's about to finish.
yeah, yeah, I'm at the MGM thing. But yeah, that's been the Terminator, our first fan commentary. I hope you enjoyed it. Give us a bit of feedback if you've enjoyed it. Um, if you want to talk about a specific point that we brought up, then timestamp the comments so that we know.
Mm,
It's a bit easier for us to know what you're talking about, and Alan and I will get back to you. But also, much like the first one was put up in a poll, we're not always going to let you guys choose because we're still devastated about not being able to talk about the Living Daylights.
Yeah, our next
Occasionally,
two are going to be Living Daylights and License to Kill, and then
probably,
we'll just do them again.
yeah. So we probably will do both the Dalton ones, maybe not back to back. We might put
No,
something in between,
no.
but we'll probably do those. But let us know, as I say, what you thought of it, and if you have any ideas of movies you'd like us to cover that they kind of fit within the kind of taste and the kind of things that we usually cover here, no matter how mainstream or how niche, find it in the comments, and we can collate a list and we'll know what you're into, and we'll see if we can make it happen for you.
Yeah.
But thanks, Alan, for joining me. It's always a pleasure speaking
Thank you.
movies with you, mate.
I hadn't watched
And
that for a while.
what's that?
I hadn't watched Terminator in ages. I was going to watch
You
it
had
the
watched
weekend.
Terminator
I'm glad
Nights?
I didn't. Yeah.
Aye. I've actually, well, I've seen it at the cinema obviously recently, but it's nice watching it with a friend and getting to kind of chat about it and stuff. So just another point will be I'll cover the 4K release of the Terminator when it comes out in November. So if you're coming across this for the first time, it's a good reason to subscribe if you're into 4K reviews, kind of deep dives, physical media collecting, and general conversations about movies. So I've been Andy, he's been Alan, and hopefully we'll catch you next time. Ciao.